Are you hearing voices? Well, hello, my friends, and welcome to the John of New Studios. And I am very excited to be here. I'm drinking water because it's what I'm made of. Besides love. And I wanted to hop on real quick, and I wanted to kind of give you a little answer to a question that came in on the comments section. And it's actually a really good question because though the question is aimed towards one thing, it actually taps into a larger topic. Let me just go ahead and read the question, and we'll just dive in from there. Lots of intuitive people hear messages from spirit, which is helpful and often uplifting. What about people who say they hear voices that tell them to harm people? Where do those voices come from? Well, thank you so much for this message or this comment and this question, because it taps into a bigger topic. Hearing messages from spirit, good or bad. The concept of hearing messages from spirit is the concept of being separate, and there's some other external force that's coming in to affect you on a very specific way. Now, when I do private sessions, will often get words that are very specific from someone who's crossed over for someone else. So hearing messages from spirit. But what I'm actually doing is I before that happens for me, I literally exhale and drop all of my fears and anxieties. When I sit down to do a private session, I literally write their name on a sheet of paper, and then I fully let go of all stress in my body and all fears. And then I start just getting messages. When people are hearing messages from spirit, it really depends on where they are in their fear spectrum. If you think about the idea of someone who is generally in the fear of not being loved in some form, a lot of times people in that state will mistake power for love. Or people who harm others, or even hear voices that tell them to harm others. 9 times out of 10, what's happening is they are feeling like they need to be powerful in some form, and so they feel that they have to harm others, or they make it a way to have to harm others to feel powerful. And if you really think about what they're saying is, they're saying that something's telling them to harm others. And if somebody's telling you to do something, the way you please them and get the positive reinforcement is to do it. And so it's not that there's an evil entity or a spirit talking to them. It's their own fears and anxieties. It's their own temptations. It's their own desire to be loved that they feel that they have to find some way to get that positive reinforcement of love. And when the idea of a separate evil entity is interesting. When you look at the word Satan, the original word Satan, the definition of the word, the dictionary definition of the word Satan, it means either deceiver or temptation. It's not some evil entity talking to you. It's your own temptations deceiving you, your own desires deceiving you. And what happens is you go down these rabbit holes of wanting that unconditional love and that positive reinforcement, and you begin to start just, creating these experiences. Now, when I talk about hearing positive, helpful, uplifting things from spirit, I tend to think of that as from spirit. I tend to think of that not as a spirit or an entity. I tend to think of that as coming from the oneness of God. As I've said in other videos, in Hinduism, the consciousness of God is the Sit, and we are the Sit Satgi, the individual sparks of consciousness within. But we're all one. And when we start to bring in information, we oftentimes will give ourselves a separate entity to attribute it to, because of the fact that we have a hard time believing that information can come through us, because we don't feel like we're divine. We don't feel like we have that power, and we in this world seek for the love of others and the positive reinforcement of others, and so we go down these rabbit holes of trying to please people. And when it gets out of hand to the point where you don't seem like you could ever please anybody, and you go take your temptation and your deceit inward, then you'll start to deceive yourself to say that evil people are telling me to do things, or evil spirits are telling me to do things. And it really is a fear run amok, is what it is. It's the concept of hearing people say harm others is really a grab for power and a grab for love from a positive reinforcement. So but you yourself or they themselves are the reinforcement, or the source of the love that they're looking for. They don't love themselves. They think that they're not worthy. They think that they're less than any other, and they think the only way to get it is to please people, and they just don't feel like they have the power to make choices on their own, and so they delineate it to other sources or entities or spirits. And so that's my thought on this. I hope it answers your question. And realize, if God is love and those spirits are telling you to do loving things, drop the concept of a spirit and just realize it's the source. It's God talking. And it's God, the full connections of the oneness of God. And you're part of that oneness. And so, of course, all you're really doing is tuning your ears to hear all the information that's within. So you guys have a great day, and I'll talk to you soon. See ya. Bye.
Thank you so much for watching. The John of New channel is solely funded by your generous donations and purchases of private readings and merchandise. To help out, go to johnofnew.com or use the donation link in the description below. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share.